It is a new day. We had to stop recording. There was just so much stuff and there was so much noise outside. But we are back. We need to finish this episode of What's New in Scootering. So let's pick up where we left off and take a look at all the new native Advent decks. All right, so here it is. This is the native Advent Refined deck. This is Native's newest, greatest, most up-to-date, best deck that they have on the market as of right now. This is the third version of the Advent deck, and it definitely looks like it. This deck 100% looks refined. It resembles the previous Advent decks, but just has a lot more up-to-date, modern look, and it was definitely needed. If you take a look at the head tube, you can see that there's a lot of material cut out to reduce weight. There's just this thin piece of aluminum separating both sides of the head tube, which is really cool. And if you actually take a look on the bottom, you can see those cutouts going all the way through. You also have the native stamp right here on the front of the head tube. Very iconic. Blunt plate, I believe is the same. It may have changed a little bit from the previous decks. We have a nice flat blunt plate here, so you're gonna be doing blunt stalls and blunt slides, no problem. Moving on to the back of the deck. First thing that you guys may have noticed is this deck has a brake. It does not have a fender. The previous Advent decks did have the Omni fender on them. They decided to switch it out on this one and throw on a native brake. So this is like a nylon brake, just like you would get on any other deck. This brake is held on by 5mm brake bolts. Not gonna be stripping those guys out. They're gonna be nice and reliable. Moving on to the back end of the deck, this is where you have your aluminum deck inserts that obviously allow you to slide and prevent the deck from caving in here on the back. Cool thing about these is obviously if you grind one side down, you can just loosen it, spin it, get yourself a new side, you'll be good to go. Another cool thing to note, if you guys don't know, the Advent deck is also compatible with pretty much every single wheel size, just like the Versa fork. That's pretty much Native's thing. That's what they came in to the industry with, was just full compatibility. They wanted you to be able to ride every single wheel. So this is an 8mm axle on the deck right now, but it comes with spacers so you can ride 12 standard wheels with an 8mm axle and 30 wide wheels or 24mm wide wheels. So if you buy this deck, you're good to go. You can also see the Native logo stamped here on the back end of the deck as well. This one's in silver on the black. Definitely stands out. It's really nice, very elegant. Definitely a fan of that. The bottom of this deck is flat, of course. There's a little bit of a groove here, but this deck is primarily flat. Spec-wise, the Native Advent 2 deck does come in two different sizes. You have the 5.7 inch wide or the 6 inch wide. They both come 22 or 23 inches long and a good variety of colors. We'll check those out in just a sec. Weight-wise, I know a ton of you guys are wondering. When it comes down to the 5.7 inch Advent deck, you're looking at 3 pounds, 15.14 ounces for the 22, so just under 4 pounds. For the 5.7 by 23, you're looking at 4 pounds, 0.3 ounces, so just over 4 pounds. And when it comes to the 6 wide, you're looking at 3 pounds, 15.6 ounces for the 22. And then for the 23, you're looking at 4 pounds, 1.9 ounces for the 6 by 23. The biggest version of this deck is just over 4 pounds. And that is definitely an improvement from the previous Advent decks. And to be honest with you, holding it in my hands, it definitely doesn't feel 4 pounds. And this is definitely one of the nicest decks that has been released this year. And I'm excited to see what they do next. I mentioned colors. Obviously, this is the matte black one in my hands right now. Next up is raw. Same exact deck, same exact specs. It is just raw. So you have this really nice brushed raw finish. You have the silver inserts to match the deck, which is super sick. And the Native logo stamped on the side is no longer silver, it's raw. Same with the stamp on the front, nice and subtle. I know a lot of you guys like riding raw decks, and there you go. Moving on to the newest color. This is Cove. So this is this nice deep blue. It's honestly more of like a violet. It definitely has some purple tones in it, but either way, a very sick color. Seeing it on Instagram and stuff is one thing, but having it here in person, it definitely looks a little bit better. This thing looks so sick. And of course, they introduced this new Cove color and a few other parts. I'm sure they have it in the Orca SCS and the Orca double clamp. I don't actually have those here today, but I do have the Native Versa fork in Cove. I'm not gonna go into all the specs of the Versa fork, but this is their top of the line fork, compatible with every wheel size. Look how good that looks. Fire. In case you guys were wondering, this is what Cove looks like. And from my understanding, they are still producing the lilac color, which is the nice light purple. We've had some of those parts in the past. The box for the Advent Refined deck does have a checkbox for lilac, so I'm sure we will see lilac Advent Refined decks in the future. Unfortunately, I just don't have that today. Aside from the normal Advent 2 Refined deck, of course, they updated all the signature decks. Kai Saunders, aka Sondesi, has had his signature deck for quite a while. He actually has a signature complete and stem deck, which is awesome, but they decided to update his sig deck. This is the exact same deck as the previous ones, except it has Kai's signature graphic here on the bottom. If you guys want to know more about this graphic, go ahead, click that card up there. I actually hopped on FaceTime with Kai and he broke down why he did this graphic and everything, along with Nathan Fleming. So if you want to learn more, check that out. There's one addition This guy right here, this dog here on the deck, is not on the previous models. It does look pretty cool. I don't know what that ties to. I'm assuming it ties to a dog of his. And there is actually some new graphics here in the head tube as well. So you have some Sydney related graphics. So you have a sun on that side, you have a moon on this side. And of course, he has his own signature size, which is 5.7 inches wide by 21.5 inches long. Last but not least, Kai's deck comes in at 3 pounds, 15.9 ounces, so just under 4 pounds even. Beefy deck, reliable deck, and very, very sexy, if you will. All right, moving on to the next SIG deck. Of course, we have Nathan Fleming, AKA Flamongo. If you guys do not know, Nathan is a very, very, very talented scooter rider. Created the Flamongo fork and is one of the masterminds behind Native. He has his SIG deck here. One of the coolest deck graphics to this day. When I first saw it on the previous decks, I fell in love with it, and seeing it on this deck brings a smile to my face again. This is his graphic. Once again, I'm not gonna dive into what this graphic is. If you wanna see that, click that link up above, because once again, he broke it down for us. All these ties into his relation with scootering and where he came up from. They stuck with having the pink dropouts on his deck, which is such a nice touch. I think it definitely stands out and really allows anybody that sees his deck to know immediately that this is the Nathan Fleming signature, not just a normal Advent deck. And I absolutely love that as well. Nathan's deck does have some updated graphics here in the head tube as well. So you have the flamingo on both sides, which is a nice touch. It fills in that space perfectly. Last but not least, Nathan's deck is still 6 inches wide by 23 inches long and comes in at 4 pounds, 1.9 ounces. So just over 4 pounds. Either way, still a super sick deck. Last but not least, we have Kevin Austin's signature Advent Refined deck. If you guys do not know who Kevin Austin is, you're definitely missing out. You need to go hop on YouTube and watch some videos, because Kevin Austin is hands down one of the most talented scooter riders on the planet. I could watch his Instagram clips all day. I could watch his video parts all day. He's just mesmerizing with how like effortless he makes every single trick. It just honestly blows my mind. Very talented. Make sure you guys check him out. But Native decided to reward the man with his signature deck finally. When it comes down to graphics and everything, Kevin decided to go with the more subtle route. So the bottom of the deck is completely raw. You would probably mistake this as just a normal Advent deck at first, but it does feature the black aluminum inserts instead of the raw. So that's a key identifier. And there is a couple subtle hints. You have some etching here on the side. I'm not exactly sure what it means. So this is a key identifier that this is Kevin Austin's deck. And of course, you have some graphics here in the head tube, just like all the other ones. It shows you day and night and the weather changing. I think it's just like the cycle of life, which is pretty cool. I don't know if you can get a close-up of that. But either way, that's pretty much it for Kevin's deck when it comes down to the graphics. Really, really hyped that you have it, man. Well deserved, and I'm really, really hyped to see it here. Kevin's deck is also 6 inches wide by 23 inches long and weighs 4 pounds, 1.9 ounces, just like Nathan's deck. Not much more to say. Make sure you guys show those guys some love. If you're in need of a new deck, I highly recommend the Advent Refined, whether it's one of the signature ones or the other ones. Very, very high quality decks, and they're in stock here at the Vault, so better cop them before they're gone. All right, I forgot to talk about this yesterday when we were doing this. Before we do move into all the new AO stuff, I wanna show you this. This is the Jamie Hole Signature Apex deck. This guy just landed here in America, so let's talk about it. Jamie Hole, if you guys don't know, the man that does double flip combos. His warm-up trick is like a double flip whip. Like, he's literally insane. Currently rides for Oath and now Apex. One of the best riders out there as well. And he's from the UK and just an absolute shredder. I've met him. Really nice guy, really sweet parents, and an absolute killer. Definitely pushing the sport, pushing what is possible. So Apex rewarded the man with this deck as well. And I'm hyped. All I wanted for Christmas one year was a gunmetal gray Phoenix Revent deck. So I'm hyped to see more gunmetal gray. Moving on to the bottom, that's where Jamie's graphic lies. There's a ton of cool stuff here. You have the Apex ID logo there. If you guys don't know what Apex ID is, it's pretty much a system where you can customize your own Apex deck, which is really sweet. That's actually how we did our own Vault Apex collab. Since he does live in the UK, you have the British flag here. It looks like you have a tiger here with the Apex logo in his eye. It says Jamie Hole right there. He's got his signature and the iconic Send It logo. Obviously, the man is absolutely sending it, so he's got to be reminded every time he looks at his deck. Last but not least, on the side of it, you can see that it says Apex and Jamie Hole. Looks like it comes 19.25 inches long by just under 5, I'll give that, by 5 inches wide, and it can fit up to 110 by 24 millimeter wide wheels. You cannot ride any wider than 24, and you cannot ride any bigger than 110 on Apex decks. So do not buy any bigger wheel if you have one. Apex decks do have a very, very, very good reputation for not breaking. In the 4 years that I've worked here at the Vault, I can't say I've ever seen a broken Apex deck. So despite them being very expensive, Apex decks range from the $300 to $400 price range. They are made in Australia. Like I said, I've never really seen one break. So they have that reputation behind them. And if you have the extra cash laying around and you want a reliable deck, definitely check out one of these. Taking a look at the weight, the Jamie Hole Apex deck comes in at 2 pounds, 15 0.4 ounces, just under 3 pounds, which is absolutely insane. That is a very light deck, and I know a ton of you guys were probably curious. Alrighty, so with that wrapped, it's time to finally take a look at all the new stuff from AO. First up is going to be the AO TIMO Signature deck. This guy has been in the works for a while, and once again, TIMO is an absolute shredder of a rider. TIMO's deck does come in two sizes. There is a 5.8 wide version and a 4.7. This is the 5.8. I will grab the 4.7 in just a sec, but I want to go through overall specs of the 5.8 first. Obviously, 5.8 inches wide by either 21.5 or 22 inches long. This deck does feature removable square dropout inserts. So if I show you guys this, these inserts actually can come in and out. So if you do not want to ride a box deck, you can just take these off and you don't have to, or you can leave them in and you're good to go. The TIMO deck does have the wheel compatibility of up to 125 by 30 millimeter wheels. Comes with spacers 424 and 30 wide in the box, so you'll be good to go there. And just comes stock with this AO fender or this AO brake, pretty much the same one that they've had on all their decks in the past. You still have the 5 millimeter brake bolts, so you guys aren't gonna be stripping any of those out. The biggest change from this deck to the previous AO decks is the head tube. This head tube has been completely redesigned to be shorter, to give the rider more foot space, obviously to be more lightweight and strong. It features this huge cutout here. You can see that there's just cutouts all over the head tube with this X formation, reinforcing it so it's not gonna bend, crack, or break right there. And when it comes to the head tube, there's huge cutouts here. Like you could see pretty much your entire fork tube. That's pretty cool. Before we talk about the graphic, let's talk about weight. The 21.5 inch TIMO deck comes in at 4.4 pounds, and the 22 inch TIMO deck comes in at 4.5 pounds. So just a little bit heavier than the 21. Obviously with a little bit more length, you're gonna have a little bit more width. Pretty beefy deck, but AO decks have a very good reputation of not breaking. So very reliable. Taking a look at the graphic here, another really unique one. Full deck graphic. I'm a big fan of full deck graphics here. So you can see that's his nickname. That's what his Instagram is right there as well. And you have him in a race car suit with the NASCAR. You got his number here, 69. It's a cool number. Got his name here. It's a really cool graphic. You have the flames going all around it with the AO logo here. You have these flame graphics going all the way down the side of the deck as well with the TIMO logo, and on the other side as well. And you even have some flames right here going up the head tube. This deck does come in two colors. This is the black. There is also a chrome. So same exact deck, same exact graphic, except on the chrome deck. I like how they ended up doing a polished brake on this chrome model as well. Instead of just sticking with the black one, which would have been easy, they actually went and put on the chrome one, which is a very nice touch. Alrighty, so moving on, this is the 4.8 inch wide TIMO deck. I think I said 4.7 earlier. I do apologize. This deck is 4.8 inches wide, but you have the same exact deck, same exact graphics, except it is a toned down, smaller version. This one does not come with the removable deck inserts. It is just a non-box deck. This guy is 4.8 inches wide by 20.5 inches long. Same head tube, same wheel compatibility, spacers included if you want to ride 30 wides or 24 wides. And last but not least, the 4.8 inch wide TIMO deck weighs 3.3 pounds. So very light deck. Obviously this guy does come in two colors as well. You have the black. I'm not sure why they did this. The large version of the TIMO deck is chrome or a polished. Small version of the TIMO deck is actually like a silver. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks really good, but it's kind of weird that the large version is chrome and the small version is silver. But either way, same exact deck, same exact specs. So moving on, we do have the AO Sachem XT deck. This is AO's newest deck along with the TIMO, and it's honestly pretty sweet. This deck comes in two sizes. The one that we're looking at right here is 4.8 inches wide. It comes 20.5 inches long. Wheel compatibility, of course, is up to 125 by 30. Obviously it has the spacers included as well. This deck does actually have a fender installed, which is a nice touch. If you want to ride a brake, you can always buy like an AO Delta 2 brake and throw it on. This deck does have a more classic looking AO head tube. If you remember the original Sachem decks, this is very similar to that head tube, and I'm a fan of it as well. It comes on down here. It does take a good bit of the foot space, but not too much. And this is obviously a smaller deck, so probably not too worried about foot space anyways. Taking a look at the front of the deck, it does have another cutout here, so you can see the fork. Moving on to the graphics. Here on the bottom, you have this large tie-dye graphic. It says Sachem here in the center with the AO logo. Same goes for the side of the deck, the tie-dye print. It says Sachem and stuff like that. There is actually an AO logo here cut out in the deck. The graphic does cover it, but I'm sure you could just go in there with your fingernail or something. The 4.8 version of this deck does weigh 3.39 pounds, so very similar to the small version of the TIMO deck. And moving on to the larger version of the Sachem XT deck, this guy is 5.6 inches wide by 21.5 inches long. Other than that, Wheel compatibility is exactly the same. This one also does come with the fender. Same head tube, same cutouts, same graphic on the bottom as well. This version is just a bit wider in case that's what you're looking for. The 5.6 version weighs 3.9 pounds, so just a bit heavier, just under 4 pounds. Obviously, like I've said in the past, a little bit more material is gonna equal a little bit more weight. Alrighty, so next up is going to be the AO TIMO Signature Complete. Along with the Signature deck, they obviously offered him a Signature Complete, and it's pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie, it features the same deck here, all the same graphics that you would get on the aftermarket deck, but you also get a complete scooter with it. So let's go over the general specs. You're looking at a 24.5 inch tall T-bar by 22 inches wide. This is a steel T-bar running IHC compression, so this bar does have a slit installed. This is an all new AO fork. It resembles the Diamond fork, but this is a mini HIC or IHC fork, but definitely gets the job done. Moving onto the deck, this is TIMO's Signature deck. This is 4.8 inches wide by 20.5 inches long. This complete is rocking 110 by 24 millimeter AO wheels, black urethane on an orange core to match the flames on the deck. Clamp-wise, you're just looking at a pretty standard AO double clamp. It is rocking the larger clamp bolts. So these are 6 millimeter M8 bolts, so you're not gonna have any issues tightening that up. Whoever assembled the scooter actually put the clamp on upside down. It was probably me. The AO logo is upside down. It's supposed to be the other way. You do have a Titan dust cover, which is nice to see. Other than that, you have Raptor grips here on the top. Very, very thick grips, very long lasting grips, but there are specific riders out there that absolutely love a thicker grip, and those are definitely for you. Taking a look at the bottom, you have a huge cutout here, which splits up the graphic, but this is obviously to reduce weight and stuff like that. Total height-wise, you're looking at 34.5 inches tall from the bottom of the wheel to the top of the bar. And when it comes to weight, you're looking at 8.5 pounds. This complete does come in 2 colors, just like the deck. This is the black, and this is the raw. Same exact scooter, same exact colorway, except you have the silver deck. I said raw. Sorry, I got twisted up. This deck is silver, so this is the silver colorway. So you have all the exact same parts, except you have the silver deck replacing the black deck. Just in case you guys were wondering, the TIMO Complete does come in at $269, so $270. And if you're in the market for a new Complete, I would definitely recommend this guy. Alrighty, last but not least, this is the AO Sachem XT Complete scooter. They released the TIMO deck and a TIMO Complete. They released the Sachem XT deck and a Sachem XT Complete. This is AO's newest, latest, and greatest flagship entry-level complete scooter. This guy does have the same deck as the Sachem XT one that I showed you guys earlier, but in a ton of bright colorways that are definitely gonna catch the eye from anybody. So when it comes to the Sachem XT Complete specs, you're looking at a 24.5 inch T-bar. It also is 22 inches wide, just like the TIMO Complete. It looks like you have the same exact clamp as the TIMO Complete, just a pretty basic AO double clamp here. This one's obviously green. You are riding a Titan headset on this Complete as well. And taking a look at the fork, looks like this is just the revised AO Diamond fork for the Complete scooters as well. Moving on to wheels, I believe these are the same exact wheels on the TIMO Complete. However, these ones feature a green and black tie-dye urethane. So you have the green and the black in the urethane, which is really, really cool. Obviously complements the color of the scooter a lot, and I'm sure it's the same way on all the other colors. Taking a look at the grip tape, you have AO tie-dye grip tape. They actually offered this grip tape aftermarket about a year or two ago, and now it's on the Completes, which is really, really cool. If you guys remember, the Sachem XT Complete that I just showed you had tie-dye graphic on the bottom and the sides. Obviously, you're getting the same thing here. And if we take a look at the bottom, same thing. You have the tie-dye here on the grind rails. That'll obviously get grinded away as soon as you start to do any grinds, but it says Sachem here right in the center as well. So there's no mistaking what Complete you have. This guy is also 34.5 inches tall from the wheel to the top of the bar. This Complete is pretty much the same exact Complete as the TIMO one, except a different deck and a different colorway. However, this deck is 4.8 inches wide by 20.5 inches long and can fit up to 125 by 30 millimeter wheels, just like all the other ones. Last but not least, the Sachem XT Complete weighs 8.5 pounds and comes in a bunch of colors, so let's take a look at those. Obviously, this is the green. Next up is black and mint. So it is primarily black with the subtle hints of teal or mint color in the grips. You have the mint clamp, the mint and black swirled urethane. The tie-dye graphic is like a gray or a light blue to match, just like the deck on its own. But A lot of you guys love teal and you guys love blue, so I'm hyped to see that AO released one in this color as well. So next up is silver, pretty self-explanatory. Primarily silver, you have the silver deck, silver bar, and black accents. So you have the black clamp, the black headset, the black fork, and the black cores on the wheels. The urethane on these wheels is black and white. Very, very nice touch. Matches the rest of the scooter perfectly. And it's really cool that since the wheels are a tie-dye, so is the grip tape. As you can see, this one is black and white. The tie-dye graphic on the bottom of the deck is also black and white. It's just really cool to see all those colors tie together so perfectly. Out of all the colors, I think this one's my favorite. And last but not least, this is the red colorway. You have a very, very vibrant red deck, and you actually have a red core on these wheels. All the other ones just had black. This one has red, along with the red and black swirl urethane. So a lot of red, but I think it really does come together nicely. You have a red brake on this guy, and pretty much all the other parts are black, except you have black and red Raptor grips on this guy. This guy is nice. A lot of you guys like red parts as well, so I think you guys will love this one. The last thing to note about the AO Sachem XT Complete is it comes in at $240, so very reasonable price for such a high quality scooter. Alrighty, and just like that, this is a wrap to this episode of What's New in Scootering. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure to hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel, turn that notification bell on so you are notified every single time we upload, and drop a comment letting us know what you're excited to see in the future episodes of What's New in Scootering. We have a lot of new stuff from Tilt coming right around the corner, so if you guys made it this far into the video, there's your sneak peek to see what we're gonna be covering next. And until the next video, you guys have a good one. Peace.